All right, what is going on, guys? Yesterday, UFC president Dana White has announced the main and co-main event as well as a few other fights for UFC 311 happening January 18th of 2025. So initially, he announced two fights yesterday. I think it was on his Instagram or his Twitter. I can't recall which one it was. I was going to make a video. I didn't have time to do it, so I was going to make it today, but then I saw the UFC announced a couple additional fights, so I'm glad I waited. I will go ahead and give an early prediction for all of these fights and give my opinion on them. So we'll scroll down here. Main event UFC 311. We have Islam Makhachev versus Arman Tsarukyan 2, a rematch from years ago. Arman came in short notice to replace an opponent that had dropped out versus Islam. Until the Volkanovski first fight, this was probably one of Islam's most competitive fights, but this was years ago. Both guys have vastly improved since then. I would say Arman is probably, outside of maybe Oliveira, one of the most well-rounded fighters in the top 5 of the division. So I think probably right now, if Oliveira dialed it back a little bit, I think he'd have a better chance of beating Islam. But out of everybody else in the top 5 of the lightweight division currently, I think Arman probably has the best shot at beating Islam. And this is a tough fight for me to pick. Again, this isn't my official early prediction, but this is going to be my early prediction. I'm leaning Islam right now. I need to go back. I need to watch some tape on both of them. But currently, I'm leaning Islam. I think he's more well-rounded. I think his striking's better than Arman's. I think Arman might have a little bit more power than Islam does. But his striking's more well-rounded than Arman. And his wrestling and jiu-jitsu skills, I think, are better than Arman, although they're very close in the wrestling department. So the great fight. I love this fight. I'm glad we're getting an Islam fight early in the year so that hopefully maybe we can get somebody else on this card in a fight versus Islam at the end of the year. Anyway, great fight. Love it. We're going to scroll on now. We're going to go to the co-main event. We have Merab Dvalishvili versus Umar Nurmagomedov. Honestly, don't blame the UFC for making this fight. Apparently, according to Dana White, Merab showed up to the UFC offices. He didn't call, he showed up and wanted to make this fight. He said he was tired of Umar talking shit online about him. He wants to fight him. In this fight, although I understand there's really not any clear number one contender, Piotr Jan's on a 2-fight win streak, beating Song Yadong and why did I forget who he just beat? I know I can picture his face in my mind. Why can't I think? Davison Figueiredo. Coming off back-to-back wins of those, but he lost super dominantly to Merab. And the Sean O'Malley fight, Sean O'Malley doesn't deserve an immediate rematch. He clearly lost the fight. He had one title defense. And other than that, he's beat Piotr Jan. So he doesn't deserve an immediate rematch. There's really nobody right now that deserves a title shot that hasn't fought Merab. So, understandably, Umar got the shot. This is they're both very good in the wrestling department. I think Umar is more diverse on the feet. Although Merab was showing some improvement on the feet in the Sean O'Malley fight, but you have to take in consideration O'Malley was scared of getting taken down. Which, I understand it's part of MMA, so you have to train for the takedown. All types of takedowns. Defense, that is. And I don't think Umar is going to be afraid of Merab's takedowns or being taken down. It's just, I don't see Merab being able to effectively control him as far as, get him down on the ground and hold him there and Umar can't get back up. I think what would be more likely to happen for Merab is he just kind of what he did in the Jan fight, where he just nonstop shoots takedowns, and you can't really win the fight if your back's up against the cage or you're defending a takedown constantly. So I think that's probably Merab's best path to victory. A boring decision that nobody's going to want to see. As far as Umar, I could see him knocking Merab out. I could see that as a possibility. Submitting him, it's possible. I think he could submit Merab, but I think that's probably the least likely. I think the most likely for both of these guys would be to win via decision. And for my early prediction, I'm leaning Umar via decision. I think Umar just has more tools in the tool belt than Merab does. I think he's more diverse in his attacks. Wrestling's pretty close to... they're both pretty good wrestlers. So, but I'm leaning Umar as for my early prediction. Another amazing fight. Moving on. Another amazing fight that got announced. I'm super excited for this fight. It's not going to let me click it for whatever reason. We have Beneil Dariush versus Renato Moicano. I'm so excited for this fight. I kind of wish Beneil Dariush was ranked a little higher for Moicano's sake, so that way he could jump up the rankings even more. Understandably not. You know who I'm going with. I'm going Renato Moicano. Probably, I'm not sure. Do I think he's going to submit him? I think he's going to TKO Beneil Dariush. That's my official early prediction. I think Dariush is done. I think they're the same age, if I remember correctly. They're the same age, or Beneil actually might be a little bit younger than Renato Moicano. But back-to-back KO losses. I mean, he doesn't have the greatest wins. Like, he went on that 8-fight win streak, and he wasn't beating, like, the craziest opposition. Like, I think his best win would probably be Gamrot, if I'm, just off the top of my head thinking. I think that's probably his best win. And he did have a good performance in that fight. Don't get me wrong. He did have a good performance in that fight. He definitely can win this fight. I'm not counting him out. But I think the momentum is on the side of Renato Moicano, and I think he cannot afford to lose. So he will come out victorious and TKOing or KOing Beneil Dariush. Another fight that was announced ish recently is Yuri Prochazka Jamal Hill. Great fight. Really excited for this fight. Really want Yuri Prochazka to win. I think Jamal Hill's a little bitch, but unfortunately, I think Jamal Hill will probably win. Yuri just lets you beat the shit out of him, and he's kind of like a light heavyweight Tony. Like, he's got unorthodox striking, he's weird, funky, awkward, and that's only going to get you so far. Like, you can only just be hit with full power shots and eat them and keep going so long. Knocked out in his last fight. I mean, Jamal Hill was also knocked out in his last fight too, but Yuri's been way more active than Jamal Hill has. So really rooting for Yuri Prochazka in this fight to shut Jamal Hill's mouth, especially that footage that I just saw earlier today where he was over there talking shit to Alex Pereira. Pereira threw the gloves at him, and then Jamal Hill wouldn't do shit about it. So he's kind of a little bitch for that. Other than that, I think they announced Jailton Almeida, Sergey Spivak. That was another thing. Honestly, this card in general, we have Johnny Walker, Bogdan Guskov. That's a great fight. Peyton Talbot, Ronnie Barcelos. That's a great fight. This is a good heavyweight matchup. You have Jailton Almeida, a grappling jiu-jitsu specialist, and Sergey Spivak, a kind of heavy grappling, not as a specialist as Jailton Almeida, but a very good grappler in his own. Again, we're at heavyweight here. And you have Jailton Almeida, who arguably could probably be at light heavyweight quite comfortably. And we'll see what he can do against Sergey Spivak. But, look, we have some other great fights. This should be a good fight right here. Zachary Reese, Cedriquez Dumas, Grant Dawson, Diego Fajeda. We have a bunch of good fights. Then we get on the early prelims, and it's But I think UFC 311 is really shaping up to be good right now. Hopefully none of these fights get canceled. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Who do you think is going to win in the main and the co-main event of UFC 311? Let me know. If you are not subscribed, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Drop a like on this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.